this water to all the Buddhas of the future, the spiritual ancestors, the great sages, to all the Buddhas of the past, great bodhisattvas of all the 10 quarters, to the Buddhas of the future and all the bodhisattva mahasattvas. May they come to our aid. May they witness our words. Okay, now come sit down beside me. You'll need to see the words, Linda. So you sit there. Do you want to sit up? Is the community assembled?
Yes, the community is assembled.
Is there harmony in the community?
Yes, there is harmony in the community.
For what reason is the community assembled today?
The community is assembled to perform the Sangha Karma of transmitting the precepts suitable for those on the Amitara path to Amitabhadrapala and those suitable for those on the ministry path to Andrew Nichols and Amita Ganendra.
Thank you. Let us proceed. You may go.
Movie.
Is there anyone else who would like to renew their precepts today?
I don't want to renew my precepts today, though I will follow the ceremony, but I would like to take this opportunity to make a confession.
Yes, please.
My confession is that whether true or not, my ill-chosen words conveyed at the wrong time, I have caused upset and dismay to some members of the Sangha. And I now wish to confess this completely and resolve to learn and begin anew. Of course, I have innumerable other sins, but this one in particular, I would like to clear. I trust that the Buddhas shall smile upon my foolish nature. Namo Amitabha.
Namo Amitabha. Thank you very much. That was very unexpected and
very emotional too.
Yeah, and I can feel Amita's grace on you. Namo Amitabha. If we wish to grow in spirit, we give ourselves first to contrition. Do not think of this as a burden, but as liberation. Put yourselves in the position of the other and inquire deeply. Then a change of heart may arise naturally, and the energy of enlightenment will flow in your veins like the nectar of bittersweet tears. We will now recite the Sangye Mon. The Sangye Mon, if you have a copy of the service book, is on the very last page. I'll put it in the chat box so that you can read along with us. The Sangye Mon. May all the Buddhas in the 10 quarters, all the great bodhisattvas, all the holy sages, all the devas and dragons and sentient beings in the entire universe come here as witnesses. We now confess our offenses and repent them. From the beginningless past up to now, we have killed or destroyed. We have stolen property and belongings. We have approached with lascivious thoughts. We have deceived with lies. We have ridiculed with insincere words, and we have slandered, abused, and rebuked with harsh words. We have caused enmity and mutual destruction with harmful words. To all the members of the three treasures, teachers and friends, parents and relatives, and sentient beings throughout the universe, whose numbers are beyond calculation. We have broken all the precepts and rules of conduct, the 5 precepts, 8 precepts, 10 precepts, 250 precepts, 500 precepts, bodhisattva precepts, and inexhaustible precepts. Not only have we broken these precepts, but also we have incited others to break them and rejoiced at seeing them do so. Such transgressions are innumerable, just as the great earth extending in the 10 directions is boundless and the number of dust particles is incalculable. Just as the open space is limitless, our offenses are equally limitless. Just as the means of salvation are boundless, our offenses are boundless. Just as the Dharma nature is boundless, our offenses are boundless. Just as the Dharma realm is boundless, our offenses are boundless. Since sentient beings are innumerable, our offenses of robbery and slaughter are innumerable. Since the members of the three treasures are innumerable, our offenses of destruction, theft, and killing are innumerable. Since the precepts provided are innumerable, our breach of them has been repeated innumerable times. Any one of the sages, from bodhisattvas down to Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, cannot know the extent of our offenses. Only the Buddha knows it. Now, before the three treasures and sentient beings of the entire universe, we confess and repent our errors without hiding them. We pray that all the members of the three treasures throughout the 10 quarters and sentient beings of the entire universe recognize our repentance and wish that we will be purified. From today on, together with sentient beings, we wish to abandon wrong views and take right ones. Awaken the Bodhi mind, see each other with a compassionate heart, look at each other with the eye of the Buddha, become companions of awakening, become true teachers of the way, attain birth in Amida Buddha's land together, discontinue committing those offenses forever, and never commit them again. Oh, let us repent with all our heart and take refuge in Buddha Amida. So I think I'll need some help bringing the candidates forward on this Zoom platform. Could we pin the 3 candidates?
Yes, I will do it.
Thank you
Please
very
say names. Yeah.
Okay, so as I call each of you forward, could you please make 5 prostrations to the, I'm stepping in for the Buddha. I'm the celebrant and I'm stepping in and representing the Buddha. These candidates will come and they'll do 5 prostrations to me. So could the candidate for Amitarya please come forward? That's Bhadrapala. Perhaps Vajrapala, so that we can see your picture on the screen. Could you just say Namo Amitabhu and then we'll see your picture on the screen. I can't see you yet.
She is muted.
No, I can't see Vajra.
Shall I do Namu Amitabhu?
Yeah, that's fine. Now I can see you. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, it's okay, Vajra. You can just do 5 prostrations now without saying anything. Thank you. Is it your wish to be ordained as an Amitarya in the order of Amida Buddha?
It is.
Thank you. Namo Amida Bu. Could I ask Andrew and Ganendra to be shown on the screen together? Is that possible? And
We can see them.
I can't, though. I can't see them. So maybe Ganendra and Andrew, if you could just say Namo Amida Bu so that I can see your picture on the screen.
Namo Midabu.
And now you can do your 5 prostrations. Andrew, is it your wish to become a follower of the vow light in the order of Amida Buddha, and thus to be ordained as a Gankonin?
Yes, it is.
And Ganendra, is it your wish to become a follower of the vow light in the order of Amida Buddha, and thus to be ordained as a minister?
Yes, it is.
Now, I will lead you, Vajra, in taking the precepts that have been approved by the order as suitable for those on the Amitarya path, and Andrew and Ganendra, those precepts that have been approved as suitable for those on the ministry path. These are the precepts of bodhisattvas, which means that when, through faith and the Tathagata's grace, you are born into Amida's pure land, it will be as members of the company of bodhisattvas therein. And from that blessed land, you will continually return to the worlds of transience in order to help all beings to cross over to the other shore. So the first part of the precepts are for ministers and Amitaryas, and then there'll be additional ones for Amitaryas. So all of these precepts to start with are for all 3 of you. Shall we begin? The first precepts are concerned with the foundation of faith. The first, to live under the protection of the original and sacred vows of Amida Tathagata. The second, to keep in mind that Amida made 17 vows before the great primal vow, and in honor thereof, to endeavor to be part of Amida's work of creating conducive conditions for others before thinking of my own salvation. Third, to keep in mind and deeply revere the 18th vow, according to which one will naturally and immediately become a citizen of the Pure Land by listening to the name in settled faith, dying to one's old life. Fourth, to understand the 18th vow as the foundation for and source of the virtue of all the other vows. Fifth, to not be foolishly attached to one's earthly body. Sixth, whether one's death comes sooner or later, to be at ease and willing to depart, leaving one's destination in the hands of the Tathagata. 7, to endeavor to live one's daily life with the same sincerity that one hopes to enjoy in one's last days, completely free from affectation. 8, to not be shallow, but to honestly realize one's Pratajana, bamboo nature, and to contrast it with Amida's pure light. 9, to allow one's heart to be converted to the land of bliss as one's true home, and to dedicate one's now redundant personal merit that others may similarly have the opportunity to be reborn. 10, in accord with the 34th vow, to be mindful of Amida Tathagata in all that one does. 11, to hear Amida's call in all the occasions of life. 12, to open oneself to grace, to enjoy the sun, the sky, the clouds and storms that nature sends, and to treat all occurrences, fortunate or unfortunate, as occasions for awakening. 13, to not perform any spiritual duty in one's own right, but to rely upon the other power of Amida Tathagata, which shall be courage enough. Is it your firm resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. The next section are precepts concerned with Nembutsu, the foundation of practice. To make the calling of Nembutsu one's religious practice for all occasions. To not allow a waking hour to pass without uttering the Nembutsu. To recite, at the very least, one rosary of Nembutsu every day. 17, to endeavor to keep the intention to utter Nembutsu always in mind, and actually to say it as often as one can. 18, to say Nembutsu out loud whenever it is possible and appropriate to do so, and to say it inwardly at other times. 19, to not assert that the efficacy of the Nembutsu is dependent upon any other practice, but only upon the innocence and purity of heart with which it is uttered. 20, as far as one's own practice is concerned, and without criticism of others, to view all other Buddhist practices as forms of Nembutsu and as having no other principal function. 21, to express gratitude for having been called by saying Nembutsu, making vows, making offerings, and other appropriate tokens, symbols, and rites. 22, in accord with the 19th vow, dwelling in faith, to naturally cultivate all virtues, while remaining aware of one's measureless shortcomings. 23, in accord with the 20th vow, with the Contemplation Sutra, and with the example of Queen Vaidehi, while dwelling in faith, to naturally open the mind to the image of the Pure Land, even in the midst of affliction and misfortune. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It
Yeah.
is.
Please bow. This next section are precepts establishing bodhisattva aspiration. 24. To follow the bodhisattva path within the Pure Land tradition. 25. Mindful of the 22nd vow, to learn to be unselfish, so as to serve and minister to all, even at the expense of eternal life. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
It is.
Please bow. This next section is on contrition. 26. To be contrite and make time to search one's own heart. 27. To continually reflect upon one's pratajna bamboo nature. 28. To not hide one's failings, but whenever one acts thoughtlessly and unskillfully, to seek to remedy harm done and make amends. 29. To learn one's true nature through contrition. 30. Through contrition, to give rise to fellow feeling and to soften one's heart towards others. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. The next section is on having right regard for the precepts. 31. To have a correct attitude towards the precepts, understanding them as an expression of faith. 32. To study the precepts. 33. To use the precepts in one's inward reflection. 34. To revere the precepts as Buddhakaya. 35. To not be attached to the precepts as dogma, but to see them as a finger indicating the moon. 36. To not abuse the precepts as a status symbol. 37. To not regard the precepts as a license to make demands upon others. 38. To celebrate the precepts as an expression of our life together as a community. 39. To work for the continued refinement of ethical understanding and practice throughout the Buddhist community. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. Well, that was some of the heavy bits. Now we come to the lighter bits. This is a section on joy in the practice. 40. To rejoice. 41. To have faith that brings joy to others, like those described in the 44th vow. 42. To stand in awe. 43. To rejoice with others. 44. To rejoice for the successes of others. 45. To be conscientious and live such that one's life declares the Dharma. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
It is.
Please bow. The next section is on selection of the Pure Land way. 46. To keep the Pure Land teaching as one's chosen vehicle. 47. To respect, study, and recite the teachings of the 3 Pure Land Sutras. 48. To respect all Buddhist teachings and sutras. 49. To revere the ancestors, teachings, and traditions of the Pure Land Way. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. The next section is on refuge. 50. To take refuge in the 3 jewels. 51. To treat one's spiritual guide with utmost respect. 52. To open one's heart to spiritual guidance. 53. To learn discipleship. 54. To praise and honor those who do the work of the Tathagata and who live in his light. 55. To assist those who do the work of the Buddhas and labor alongside them to bring a pure land into being where all will quickly awaken. 56. To be mindful of the 23rd and 24th vows and respect other sanghas and their ways and traditions. This shall, however, not prevent one from working for the improvement of the Buddhist community. 57. To support the cause of peace, friendship, and cooperation between faith communities. 58. To be mindful of the 31st vow and be willing to learn from all people of faith. 59. To not act in ways that undermine the faith of others. 60. To revere the Dharma. 61. To cherish the Sangha and its members. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Yes.
Please bow. This section is on keeping good order in the Sangha. 62. To foster the good order of the Sangha community. 63. To support the creation and development of Sangha communities. 64. To do everything in one's power to avoid and to overcome discord within the Sangha, viewing it as one far out in the ocean in a small boat would view a leak in that boat. 65. To not act in ways that might bring the Sangha or the Buddhist faith or faith communities in general into disrepute. 66. To respect and defer to disciples senior to oneself without neglecting one's duty. '67. I guess I just wanted to explain this one a little bit because sometimes there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the Sangha, and everyone has their own tasks and duties to perform. And it can be a bit of a juggling act to help someone senior to him or herself, and also not to forget about the tasks that you have to do as well. So you become very good at juggling, and also you become like a duck on the water that looks like it's swimming very gracefully while paddling very, very hard under the water. 67. In relating to disciples junior to oneself, to have tender care and deep respect established upon an understanding of true spiritual equality. 68. To learn to be at ease in receiving instruction and serving others, and equally at ease in exercising authority and directing others, that one's actions in either capacity may be imbued with loving kindness. 69. To not abuse authority. 70. To not use authority invested in a spiritual role for personal gain, comfort, or advantage, but only for the benefit of those it serves and instructs. 71. To always understand one's spiritual role as that of discipleship to Amida Tathagata and service to others. 72. To not punish, mindful that by the first and second vows, there are no places of harsh retribution in Amida's land. 73. To not blame, mindful that by the 16th vow, one does not hear words of criticism in Amida's land. 74. To have a tender care for others, especially when one believes them to be at fault or mistaken. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. This next section is on right speech. And as we heard from Dharma Vidya's recent and very moving confession, it was on how difficult keeping right speech can be at times when we're kind of new or confused about something and have feelings about something. This section is one of the hardest ones for all of us. 75. To practice right speech. 76. To speak well of others. 77. To speak of the Dharma, the good life, and of faith and virtue. 78. To use speech that is gentle and not arrogant. 79. To not be opinionated. 80. To not give teaching that has not been implicitly or explicitly requested. 81. To not speak to an unwilling or inattentive person. 82. To not give teaching beyond what is required. 83. To not teach in the presence of a senior without the consent of the senior. 84. To not say what is untrue. 85. To listen to others and seek to understand and appreciate the spirit of their lives. 86. To not be timid in offering teaching or advice when it is appropriate. 87. To acquire the eloquence of the Dharma as promised in the 29th and 30th vows. 88. To not add energy to quarrels. 89. To not incite hatred, envy, or harm towards others. 90. To not incite others towards behavior that would offend these precepts, whether those others have taken these precepts themselves or not. 91. To not disparage, libel, or slander others. 92. To not criticize other members of the order in front of non-members of the order. 93. To not criticize other members of the school in front of non-members of the school. 94. To not criticize people without their full knowledge. 95. In a case where one has criticized a person and it is found that the criticism is without valid ground, to apologize to that person and to all those before whom the complaint was made. 96. To learn to be a peacemaker and to help others to resolve conflicts. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
Yes.
Please bow. This next section is on patience. 97. To be patient. 98. To not allow one's own afflictions to become a cause of one acting harshly towards others. 99. When wrathful energy arises, to seek deeper understanding and, in the meantime, act with restraint. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
Yes.
Please bow. This section is on right livelihood. 100. To practice right livelihood. 101. To follow a vocation that is not harmful to sentient beings or to nature, but conducive to their protection and good cultivation. 102. To not make fame, gain, or self-indulgence one's aim. 103. To live simply. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. This next section is on ahimsa. Ahimsa is Sanskrit for non-harm. 104. To practice non-harm. 105. To not take the lives of sentient beings. 106. To go unarmed in the world and not possess weapons. 107. To not be involved in the creation or maintenance of weapons, nor profit from their use, manufacture, or trade. 108. To not eat the flesh of sentient beings that have been killed or are alive. 109. To not trade in nor profit from products that have been obtained by slaughter of sentient beings. 110. To not purchase products obtained by slaughter of sentient beings. 111. To not inflict injury upon sentient beings. 112. To not fight nor threaten by raising the hand or fist or by lashing out or any equivalent behavior. 113. To not harm sentient beings by imposing harsh or oppressive conditions upon them. 114. To not harm sentient beings by depriving them of necessary resources. 115. To not harm vegetable life unnecessarily. 116. To not steal nor take what is not rightful to receive. 117. To not allow covetousness or envy to guide one's speech or actions. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. This section is on non-grasping. 118. To be neither grasping nor possessive. 119. To live with few wants and be content with what one has. 120. To appreciate the gifts one receives, both through others and through nature. 121. To cultivate gratitude. 122. To not give in to self-pity or bitterness. 123. To share with others and act generously. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. The next section is on relationships. 124. To not engage in sexual misconduct. 125. To respect the family and relationship commitments of others. 126. To honor one's own family commitments. 127. To care for and protect any new life that results from one's actions from the time of its conception and throughout its young life. 128. To protect others from the damage caused by sexual misconduct. 129. To not go in public dressed in a sexually provocative way. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. So this section is on intoxication. 130. To not consume intoxicants. 131. To not use tobacco or equivalent substances. 132. To not encourage others to use intoxicants, tobacco, nor other like substances, nor to profit from them doing so. 133. To overcome compulsive habits. 134. To not use cosmetics, nor concern oneself with vanity of appearance. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. This section is on concern for others. 135. To cherish others. 136. To cherish all sentient beings in deep respect for their dignity and independence. 137. To create conditions in which others may hear the name spoken in their own language, secretly to their heart. 138. To be hospitable. 139. To be considerate and try to put others at ease, as all are put at ease by the 33rd vow. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. This section is on engagement. 140. To work for the improvement of society. 141. To have a tender regard for those who are afflicted by disease, poverty, social oppression, or misfortune. 142. To have a tender regard for those that are subjected to cruelty or deprivation. 143. To work for the liberation of all, always using nonviolent means. 144. To not be slow to assist beings in need of assistance where one has the means. 145. To oppose oppression and right the wrongs it causes. 146. To renounce class, caste, race, nationalism, patriotism, and all forms of political partisanship, seeing them as idolatry. 147. To act in ways conducive to the establishment of societies that are not built on privilege and oppression. 148. To seek to understand the oppressor and the oppressed alike, and to seek means of reconciliation and salvation for all parties. So this is about taking the middle path, not taking sides. Seeing both sides is probably one of the most difficult positions. The middle position often is. 149. To not become involved in coercive activities, except where it is the only means to save a person from acting upon their own destructive impulses. 150. To support the freedom of others, that they may peacefully and respectfully enjoy the whole world without confinement. 151. To work for peace. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. This section is on pastoral care. 152. To offer pastoral care. 153. To support the bereaved. 154. To support those who are in turmoil or distress without colluding in delusion. 155. To minister to bear witness for, advise and assist the sick, the poor, and the oppressed. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
it is,
Please bow. So this is the last precept for Andrew and Ganendra. This precept is on the Sukhavati, 156, to hold ceaselessly to the vision of a pure land and to make common cause with those seeking to bring forth an enlightened world where the three poisons no longer hold sway and all beings enjoy respect and find fulfillment. The vision of unimpeded light shining upon us from the future will always guide my steps. Is it your resolve to keep this precept or not?
it is,
Please bow. Andrew and Ganendra, you have now received the precepts accepted by our order as suitable for those on the ministry path. Your ordination and advancement will continue in the morning. So as we're all on the screen together, then you can just stay where you are. And Vadra, is it possible to ask Vadra to get the spotlight on her now? Can we make Vadra?
There is spotlight on you, Ganendra, and Vajra. Three of you.
Okay, so now we just need Vadra to be in the spotlight.
Okay, I will change that.
Thank you. So, Vadra, we will now transmit those extra precepts suitable for those on the Amitarya path. The first one, to be utterly guided by the Nembutsu. The second, to go forth in the Dharma, relying upon the original and sacred vows that the light of love, compassion, joy, and peace may boundlessly spread. Third, to completely entrust one's life to Amida Tathagata's grace. The fourth, though one's understanding may as yet be slight and one's merit meager, to trust that through faith one's life will be transformed and become an example to others. The fifth, to feel shame at one's transgressions and hurtful actions, and rejoice that it is especially to selfish beings such as oneself that Amida Tathagata reaches out. Sixth, to put others before oneself. Seventh, to not have private projects. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. The eighth, to renounce the conventional life of society. 9, to not be separated from the robe for as much as a day. 10, to only wear outer clothes of red color, save on allowed exceptional occasions. So we were wearing white on Wednesdays to support Muslim women and just showing our solidarity with them. So if there is a color of clothing to show solidarity with another group that's resisting oppression, then these are exceptional occasions. 11, to become part of an Amitarya community and to make this one's refuge. 12, to renounce the pursuit of wealth and use whatever one has of property, talents, time, and energy for the purpose of Amida Tathagata's great work. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. "13. To willingly go wherever needed among all manner of people and circumstance. 14. To not be attached to place, but to know that one's true home is henceforth in the pure land of Amitayas. 15. When traveling to, whenever practical, travel in company with one or more other members of the order. 16. To learn that all manner of people are acceptable to the Tathagata, and to often contrast this with one's own stubborn heart. 17. To respect the customs and conventions of the lands through which one travels, insofar as these are not harmful to sentient beings. 18. To regard wherever one resides as a temporary stay. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. "19. To live often in community, to renounce private household life and live with other members of the Sangha whenever possible. 20. To act on the principle that wherever Amitaryas are gathered, they shall form a community, meeting regularly for the three foundations of our community life, which are A. Reciting Nambutsu together, B. Gathering for listening to one another, and C. Working as a team and rejoicing together. 21. To work with other members of the Amida school to create communities inspired by the pure land envisaged in the Tathagata's vows. 22. To be mindful of the 32nd vow and ensure that wherever Amitaryas settle, they shall there create from whatever is at hand a place of beauty and delight in giving particular attention to gardens, grounds, and outdoor spaces where the name can be heard and felt in the action of light, water, wind, and natural life. 23. 2. By deliberate intention, encompass persons from different races and social backgrounds in Amidist communities, reversing the separatist trend of the world. 24. To remember the 3rd, 4th, and 5th vows excluding negative discrimination, and thereby know that those who are of Amida's land are in spirit all of one radiant golden color. 25. To always at heart be part of the Amitarya community, even when we cannot reside together. So this is the situation that we have at the moment. We're all living separately, but whenever we come together, it's like we're still living in community. And so we're carrying a spirit of community wherever we are. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. "26. To protect the atmosphere and good order of the community as a place of spiritual faith and practice. 27. To renounce territory and not be attached to personal space. 28. To hold territory in use, not in possession. If one stays in a house for a time and occupies or shares a room, to not consider it as permanently one's own, but to be willing to vacate it at any time. 29. To keep spaces one occupies homely and welcoming. 30. To keep the space that one is using or responsible for clean and tidy. 31. To cooperate with keeping common spaces clean and tidy and free from noise. 32. To not enter a space occupied by a senior without the consent of the senior, or of the most senior if there are more than one. 33. To not disturb items that are in the use of a senior without consent. 34. To respect the property and privacy of others. 35. To not usurp a senior's authority. 36. To be frugal in general, without losing the ability to be profuse on appropriate occasion. 37. To use material objects such as clothing, tools, furniture, utensils, or books carefully and respectfully. 38. To not treat objects in common use as any less important, valuable, or irreplaceable than objects in private ownership. 39. To appreciate that objects have value as tokens of love and spiritual qualities and are not to be viewed solely from a utilitarian perspective. And this is a nice kind of meditation to do on objects, because everything has been passed through so many different hands, so many different people with all their different sufferings have helped to bring about an object in our life. 40. To give priority to the collective activities in the community over one's own projects and devotions. 41. To make meal times a time of religious practice. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. (42) To ensure that others receive what they need at the meal ahead of concern for one's own needs. 43. To practice not asking at least one meal every few days. 44. To not be greedy. 45. To appreciate the food we receive for its qualities and the sustenance it provides. 46. To reflect upon the work and the suffering involved in the production of the food we eat. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. (47) To learn to take one's place in a team and to be willing to accept whatever part in the team is most conducive to the realization of the ultimate aim. So this is from the very lowliest of jobs, like washing up or cleaning the toilets, to being in front of a congregation and leading a service, and everything in between. No job is beneath any one of us. 48. To learn to appreciate how all the tasks and contributions in a community form a whole, of which each of us is a part, and to appreciate the different parts, seeing beyond illusions of humble or great, mundane or sublime. 49. To not be attached to identity or status. 50. To accept whatever task, duty, rank, position, or work may be necessary, and regard the attempt to fulfill it as one's Dharma training. 51. To complete one's own tasks and then assist others, but also to be willing to interrupt one's own task in order to help others when the need is pressing. 52. To value each community member for what they are capable of offering to the communal life and protect them from disparagement for things of which they are not capable. And this is important because we don't have the same skills or talents, and we each come from a different background and can't really expect the others to do things exactly how we would want them to. And we tend to like people when they're reliable, and we get frustrated and disparage them when they're not. So this is important to understand. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. "53. To learn to communicate appropriately with other members of the community about spiritual and practical matters in a spirit of true friendship, expressive of underlying solidarity, even when emotional commitments are at stake. 54. To learn to give and receive admonition in a spirit of loving care, to not give nor take offense, but help to create a climate in which honesty and deep kindness can prevail. 55. To notice when other members of the community are afflicted and do what one can to assist them. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. "56. To care for and tend community members who are sick or dying. 57. To not be squeamish in performing tasks of physical care. 58. In caring for the sick, as in all things, to have highest regard for the spiritual need." So if you were to care for someone who was ill and they didn't have a Kuan Yin or a Buddha figure, then if they were Buddhist, it might be nice to ensure that they had an icon or a picture or a statue to help them with their spiritual care. 59. To inquire of a sick member the nature of his or her symptoms, whether they are mild or severe, painful or non-painful, increasing or decreasing, to provide palliative care and remedies where possible, and to seek medical assistance when appropriate. 60. To make a sick member comfortable in tranquil surroundings, neither too hot nor too cold, and protect him or her from undue disturbance. 61. To provide the sick room with a Buddha image that can be seen by the sick person. 62. To ensure that a sick member is provided with an adequate supply of liquid and appropriate mild nourishment, and that other bodily needs are attended to with tender care. 63. To converse with the sick person insofar as this benefits them, and not to take advantage of their dependency, nor burden the afflicted with lament about one's woes. So if they're getting tired, allow them to rest. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. "64. To welcome visitors, ensuring that if a guest comes to our residence, at least one of us will cease other activity, receive them hospitably, and attend to their needs. 65. To support the effort of the community to reach out hospitably into the surrounding society. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. "66. To protect the integrity of the community. 67. To not undertake any personal economic activity that is not specifically approved by the community and by one's spiritual guide, and not to allow the pursuit of a profession, trade, or career to become of importance, nor let economic considerations take a higher priority than the needs of the community and the Dharma work. 68. To appreciate that in all dealings with non-community members, one is acting as an agent and representative of the community as a whole, and not merely on personal account, and to have a proper care and restraint, seeking assistance and guidance appropriately from other community members. 69. To not consult non-members over matters relating to other members in a manner that could be felt by the latter as a breach of confidence. 70. To not discuss community matters with others who are not responsible for them in a manner that leads those people to think that they are participating in a decision-making process that will determine those matters. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. "71. To participate fully in the life of the Amida school. 72. Be mindful of the 36th vow, to regard Amida Sangha as a single assembly. 73. To cherish Sangha brothers and sisters alike, whether they are Amitaryas, ministers, or lay members, recently admitted, or of long standing, and treat all with deep respect, knowing that many streams shall flow together to make one river. 74. To regard the role of the Amitarya within the Amida school as that of ministering to the ministers, as well as reaching out to the world at large to support all who perform the service of Amida's ministry. 75. To remember the 14th vow, and, irrespective of the size of the actual group or community in which one resides, to feel oneself to be part of a vast assembly. 76. To support and contribute to the work of the Tathagata's disciples to reform society and do good in the world. 77. To always stay in communication with fellow Amitaryas, even when through happenstance or the requirements of mission or ministry, one is alone in the world. Is it your resolve to keep these precepts or not?
It is.
Please bow. And this will be the last precept for you to take. 78. To die with the Nembutsu. Is it your resolve to keep this precept or not?
It is.
Please bow. Vajra, you have now received the precepts accepted by our order as suitable for those on the Amitarya path. Your ordination and advancement will continue tomorrow morning. Namo Amida Bu.
Namo Amida Bu. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this concludes our precept ceremony. We can stop recording now. We can